Good morning. We'll go ahead and get started here. I know there's a couple other folks who will be coming in to join us. Just want to thank everybody for joining us here this morning and being here to discuss the juvenile justice reforms. Today I'm joined by Governor Wolf and members of the General Assembly and the judicial branch to announce the formation of the Pennsylvania Juvenile Justice Task Force. And I think that certainly is a multidisciplinary and multi-branch effort. I want to thank everybody for being here, but a special welcome to my former colleague, Representative, now Judge Reichley. So thank you for coming back. So seeing all the branches and the parties standing together on this very important subject should be a powerful message to all of Pennsylvania that we're all committed to achieving the best juvenile justice system for our communities all across the Commonwealth. This collaborative initiative is the latest in our effort to use data and research to right-size the justice system, ensuring that taxpayers' investment is giving the best public outcomes in terms of our efforts, both in funding and results. The House is taking up smart justice reforms this week, much needed updates to our criminal justice and probation systems, many of which have already passed the Senate. And common sense tells us that as we look at our criminal justice system, we must also look upstream to our juvenile justice system. By assessing evidence about what works to prevent reoffending, we can direct young people who may otherwise end up off in our adult jails and prisons at a great taxpayer expense. By intervening early, we can save money and improve lives. We're charging this task force with delivering a very varied approach in terms of recommendations by next November that make our communities safer while reducing the costs and reinvesting in our system. With that, I'll turn it over to Governor Wolf.
Thank you. Thank you, Leader Cutler. Brian, is that right?
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank everybody who's joining all of us here today, because this is a very important initiative, as the leader said. The Juvenile Justice Task Force is one more step in our bipartisan, and let me emphasize, bipartisan approach to criminal justice reform. I am proud of what we have accomplished by working together. Pennsylvania has become a leader nationally, a leader in criminal justice reform. We were the first state to pass clean slate legislation, again in a bipartisan way. And that has already helped thousands of Pennsylvanians, allowing them to move on from their mistakes by having their records sealed. It's the jobs bill. We want all Pennsylvanians, and we want all Pennsylvanians to have a fair criminal justice system. All of us want that. We want that for everybody in Pennsylvania. A system that allows law-abiding Pennsylvanians to feel safe while creating a route to a productive life for people who have offended. Nobody wins when we have a justice system that prevents people from participating in the workforce. And that's why we've done things like ban the box for state employment, so people are being hired for their ability to do a job, not for their past. And we eliminated driver's license suspensions for non-driving infractions, which has allowed thousands of Pennsylvanians to continue working while facing the appropriate consequences of their actions. Our initiatives are working. Pennsylvania's state prison system has seen its population shrink for 4 consecutive years without an increase in crime. Our crime rate is down, and so is our prison population. There's still more to be done with our adult criminal justice system to ensure that it's fair and that it benefits everyone. But it also makes sense to give our attention to the juvenile justice system to see where we can make changes, where we can reform. Improving our juvenile justice system can have an enormous positive impact on our Commonwealth by preventing young Pennsylvanians from ever entering our state prison system. And that's a very good thing. National studies show that as many as 90% of justice-involved youth have had exposure to some type of traumatic event. Many of these youth qualify for a mental health disorder diagnosis, and more than 30% of them meet the criteria for post-traumatic stress disorder. The Council on Reform that I created identified justice-involved youth as a vulnerable population and said that our juvenile justice system needs significant reform. But to create meaningful change, our state systems, the courts, the General Assembly, we all need to work together toward the same goal. The partnership we're creating today is an important step toward doing just that. With this task force, we can thoroughly review our juvenile justice system and find ways to make lasting change that ensures every young Pennsylvanian is getting the support needed to grow into a successful adult. They want that, and we want that. I'd like to thank everyone for coming together in this important event, especially the Pew Charitable Trusts and the Crime and Justice Institute at Community Resources for Justice. Thank you again to everyone. And now I'm going to turn this over to Judge Kim Berkeley Clark. Judge.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. The task force represents a landmark step in Pennsylvania's effort to improve our juvenile justice system. Pennsylvania has been a leader in juvenile justice nationally from the beginning of the establishment of its mission of balanced and restorative justice, and now today with our juvenile justice enhancement strategy, where we're looking at evidence-based practices, trauma-informed approaches to achieve better outcomes for juveniles involved in the delinquency system. Pennsylvania judges and juvenile probation officers and other professionals have been working very hard to achieve good outcomes for children involved in the system. And we've done a good job, but there's a lot more work needs to be done, and we need this bipartisan effort. We need all three branches of government to help us with this. I think no matter what side of the aisle you're on, so to speak, we all agree that we want our communities to be safe and we want our children to thrive. And this task force will seek to do that. So I applaud Governor Wolf, Chief Justice Tom Saylor from the Pennsylvania Supreme Court and the General Assembly, and for the leadership coming together to establish this task force. It's much needed, and I'm really excited about the work that will be done. Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Judge Reichley.
Thank you very much, Judge Clark, and it's a great honor for me to be asked to participate in this event here this morning. Thank Leader Cutler for recognizing me, Governor Wolf, Chief Justice Saylor, and all the other members of the General Assembly who have joined us here this morning. My father, who was Legislative Affairs Secretary for Governor Scranton, Governor Wolf, used to say that Pennsylvania works best when it works at reform, and reform means improvement, not just change for change's sake. We are honored to be part of the Pennsylvania State Trial Judges Conference, to be working with the members of the General Assembly and the executive branch at looking at our juvenile justice system. As a former prosecutor who handled cases in juvenile court, I represented juveniles as well in juvenile court. I was a member of the House here when we worked on juvenile justice reforms back some years ago, and then as a judge who's presided over delinquency cases, I now oversee the dependency section in Lehigh County and administrating the criminal justice system, the criminal division as well. I think all of us in the State Trial Judges Conference can bring a broad perspective to assist the General Assembly with the reforms that we want to look at, thankfully, with the assistance of the Pew Charitable Trust. So on behalf of all of us, thank you very much, Governor and Leader Cutler and the rest of the legislative members for asking us to participate. We look forward to joining with you in the many important changes we can bring about to improve evidence-based juvenile justice here in Pennsylvania, branching out using the trauma-informed decision-making, which we see spreading into many, many areas of judicial decision-making. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Senator Williams.
Thank you. Mine is a little bit more direct. There are terms of art that we throw around at press conferences and use effectively amongst ourselves. Trauma-informed, measured outcomes, judicial reform, restorative justice. Those are all terms that should appropriately be used, but I am here today for one reason, and that is the governor asked me to come, and he is a leader in communities, frankly, that are far away from this capital, that sometimes don't feel connected to this capital, don't feel connected to this country, let alone connected to their communities. And many of those children, many of those young children, in the throes of the trauma that we describe, the disruptive, inequitable system that we talk about, don't know anything about the details of the system that they're in. All they know, and we know, is that their clock is ticking from 15, 16, 17, 18 until what time they'll become an adult. And when they become an adult out of the systems that they're currently in, they become a part of the adult system of confusion and chaos. The disruption that we've seen across this country, and certainly we have a certain amount of it in Pennsylvania, has to be corrected when we deal with children. Juveniles is the description that we're using today. The vision that we had a few years ago to start this work was appropriate, but certainly not complete. This governor has taken extraordinary strides in a variety of areas that we talk about reform. You know, the term reform is a cliche and is, timely, and people sort of feel comfortable using it. Truth is, we're saving lives. We are touching human beings. We are redirecting souls. We are implementing the Quaker's purpose, and that is, I am my brother and sister's keeper. So for a young person who's caught up in this system, this press conference is for you. For a parent who has a child caught up in this system, this press conference is for you. For many of us, and regardless of whether it's rural Pennsylvania, suburban Pennsylvania, or urban Pennsylvania, this press conference is a lifeline to a new direction as to how we deal with young people in this Commonwealth. It is with great appreciation that I thank certainly the governor, the members who will be on the task force, and significantly Pew Charitable Trust, who continues their extraordinary work in helping all of us align the resources that are necessary to improve the quality of life in Pennsylvania. I can't tell you how delighted I'm being a part of it, but most importantly, at this time, at a holiday season where we have the backdrop of a tree and theoretically, presents to give young people and children, this is one more gift to add under that tree. And I want to thank all of those for participating in such. I'm delighted to introduce my colleague and friend, Senator Larry Farnese.
Thank you, Senator Williams. And thank you for having me here today. As the governor already said, Pennsylvania has been a leader in the realm of juvenile justice, thanks in large part to the great work of our Juvenile Court Judges Commission under the leadership of Rick Steele. It heartens me to see this bipartisan effort to ensure that we are doing the best we possibly can by our children. This process will help us evaluate and fix issues within our system that may increase recidivism, fail to recognize and address trauma, or even lead to an increase of violence in our schools. We need strategies to ensure that schools accept credits for education completed while under supervision, to ease the transition and stigma associated with being in delinquency, and to support parents and guardians in helping their children make better choices. Again, I want to thank you for having me here today, and I look forward to participating in the discussion of all these issues. And I want to set up Senator Mike Regan to come up.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Governor Wolf, Leader Cutler, my colleagues in the Senate and House, and members of the Judiciary. Thank you so much to be here for this important day. It's an honor to be here on behalf of Senate Majority Leader Jake Corman this morning, who I know this is important. This is so important to him, and I'm honored to represent him. Over the past 6 years, we have transformed our justice system, resulting in the reduction of the inmate population in state prisons by more than 4,000. At the same time, the crime rate has decreased by approximately 18%, saving $4 million in projected cost to taxpayers. We continued to build on this success earlier this year with a package of bills aimed to further reduce prison costs, better protect crime victims, and reinvest those savings to improve public safety. Today, I'm pleased to be part of announcing what is the next logical progression in our efforts. With one of the highest juvenile detention rates in the nation, it's important that we undertake a fact-based review of our juvenile justice system in order to ensure that our children have the opportunity to overcome struggles and to ultimately succeed. I like to say that there is no such thing as a bad kid. However, we all know that kids do bad things. I've witnessed on numerous occasions throughout my long law enforcement career kids who were clearly headed for prison or death be completely turned around through education and exposure to positive mentoring. It's important that we, as a legislature, continue to support organizations like the Boys and Girls Clubs and many others like them who provide educational and vocational training, and maybe most importantly, a sanctuary where an at-risk child can find a smiling face, a helping hand, or a hot meal. Using data and research, we will evaluate the challenges to our system and create a path to success by aligning our juvenile justice system with what works best to improve youth outcomes. Working together, there it is again, so important that we work together. We can put our resources toward what we know works best to keep families strong and put our kids back on a law-abiding path toward success. Thank you very much. Christine Howard is next, Representative.
Good morning. Thank you for being here today. So I ran for representative to help build a Pennsylvania where our children are safe, healthy, and well educated. And I believe this task force is a great step in building that future. Right before I came here, I was a child abuse investigator for our county child welfare agency. I've seen that our current juvenile justice system does not work for all youth, and I saw that these children were on a path through the juvenile justice system and then to the adult justice system. I'm particularly troubled by the recent allegations of abuse at the Glen Mills School, which was near my district, and I know we can do better. When it comes to the welfare of Pennsylvania's youth and to improving our communities across the Commonwealth, there's more work to be done. This data-driven task force is the way forward, and I look forward to taking up its recommendations. I'm committed to supporting the membership of this task force in any way I can to develop and pass evidence-based recommendations that will ensure that our systems are fair, equitable, and responsive to all youth. Thank you. No, Leader Carter.
Thank you, Representative Howard. That'll conclude the formal part of the announcement this morning. I want to thank all the members and individuals who joined us here this morning, but more importantly, I want to thank all of you for covering it, because it really is an important issue, and it's one that I think we're all committed to in terms of the approach and working through the data and finding solutions, because that's really what the young folks in the Commonwealth need today. So I want to thank you all for being here, and with that, I wish you all a good day. Thank you.